Hello everyone, Dr. Suneel Dhand, internal medicine physician. Welcome to another video. We've had an absolutely huge development. Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Meta, which owns Facebook, Instagram, and some other platforms, has finally admitted that the COVID-era censorship was wrong. And those of you who have followed me for some time know that this is a subject which is close to my heart. I faced several threats of censorship, especially at the height of the pandemic. A few of my posts and videos were removed, and I was threatened with complete removal from social media simply for asking questions, sharing my opinion, and often presenting facts. Most of us who are US citizens thought that that was our God-given right in a public forum. Now, of course, private companies can pretty much do whatever they want within the realms of the law. But where this gets interesting is when the government is colluding with them to enforce a narrative. That takes things to a whole new level and often illegal. And who knows what other agendas were at the top. We know how things work in government. What were the agendas behind President Biden and his cronies wanting to enforce a certain narrative? What big business interests, what big pharma interests were there exactly in wanting to make sure that there was complete compliance? And Mark Zuckerberg wrote a very interesting letter, which I'm going to share with you here. We also have these headlines across the media. Here's one: Mark Zuckerberg, COVID censorship was wrong, and I wish I'd fought it. Quite a thing to say. So here is the actual letter from yesterday, addressed to the Honorable Jim Jordan, the Congressman. Chairman Jordan, I appreciate the committee's interest in content moderation on online platforms. As you are aware, Meta has produced thousands of documents as part of your investigation and made a dozen employees available for transcribed interviews. Further to our cooperation with your investigation, I welcome the opportunity to share what I've taken away from this process. And it's worth remembering that this only happened because a certain political party wanted to get to the bottom of things. After all, censorship should be a very un-American thing, shouldn't it? There's a lot of talk right now about how the US government interacts with companies like Meta, and I want to be clear about our position. Our platforms are for everyone. We're about promoting speech and helping people connect in a safe and secure way. As part of this, we regularly hear from governments around the world and others with various concerns around public discourse and public safety. Well, at least he said it's about promoting speech. Elon Musk, of course, has been saying the same thing for a very long time. In 2021, senior officials from the Biden administration, including the White House, repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor certain COVID-19 content, including humor and satire, and expressed a lot of frustration with our teams when we didn't agree. Ultimately, it was our decision whether or not to take content down, and we own our decisions, including COVID-19 related changes we made to our enforcement in the wake of this pressure. I believe the government pressure was wrong, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it. I also think we made some choices that, with the benefit of hindsight and new information, we wouldn't make today. Like I said to our teams at the time, I feel strongly that we should not compromise our content standards due to pressure from any administration in either direction, and we're ready to push back if something like this happens again. Well, what a thing to say. He admits there that senior figures in President Biden's administration repeatedly pressured Facebook to take content that they didn't like down. And I know this well. I had several posts removed from Facebook. He then talks about a separate situation, how the FBI warned us about a potential Russian disinformation operation about the Biden family leading up to the 2020 election. And this was related to allegations against President Biden's son and his laptop. Many of you know about that story. And he says, in retrospect, we shouldn't have demoted the story. Yes, I remember that well, before the 2020 election, and pretty much there was collusion across the mainstream media to suppress that particular story. And he says we no longer temporarily demote things in the US while waiting for fact checkers. Well, at least he admits they shouldn't have demoted the story, but I don't like the use of the term fact checkers, which are often enforcers of a certain narrative, often paid. Who knows what agendas drive the fact checkers in the United States. He then says, I want to address the contributions I made during the last presidential cycle to support electoral infrastructure. And he says he wanted everything to be non-partisan, spread across different communities of the United States. Still, despite the analyses I've seen showing otherwise, I know that some people believe this work benefited one party over the other. Lots of people think that. My goal is to be neutral and not play a role one way or another in this upcoming election cycle. Respectfully, Mark Zuckerberg, founder, chairman, and CEO, Meta Platforms. Well, what a thing to admit there from Mark Zuckerberg. And those of us who went through this will never forget the level of censorship enforced by these social media platforms, which are now the default public arena. So let's hope that nothing like this can ever happen again. But at least we've had this admission from Mark Zuckerberg. Thanks everyone for watching. Feel free to leave a comment down below. Share your stories of ridiculous censorship during the pandemic era. Hopefully your comments won't be censored. Take care everyone. Hit the like button if you like this video and the bell button for more similar videos in the future. We will speak again very soon.